As we all know, Porter Martone, Philadelphia Flyers prospect, 6th overall of the latest NHL draft, is heading to Michigan State. He's going to be a Spartan. He's going to be playing on a very good team. But what we don't know is exactly how successful he will be. Jumping from the OHL Brampton Steelheads, he had a good season, but it's a unprecedented thing for him to be playing against competition like that, people that are 23, 24. But one prospect expert who I think is one of the better scouts out there and knowledgeable about the game is when he had to decide about a point total, a specific point total, he is predicting Porter Martone to have a historic at its NCAA season. So let's check it out. Of course, we all know he was one of the best players in the OHL, 37 goals, 98 total points while captaining the Steelheads. He was just unreal with the puck, playmaking, power play guy, got physical when he wanted to. So he has that attribute and everything that he needs to potentially succeed in college hockey. But let's just cut to the chase. Let's get to what this guy said. So on the latest episode of Called Up, the Hockey Prospect podcast, Flow Hockey's own Chris Peters and Elite Prospects Cam Robinson, of course, the co-hosts, they were doing an exercise. They were doing their little game of like an over and under game of just like deciding about the freshmen that are coming in, the Caden Lindstrom, the Riker Lees, that are two also Michigan State Spartans, the Gavin McKenna's. They're deciding on point totals. So seeing just exactly how much production they'll be getting, especially jumping from the CHL or in Riker Lee's case, the USHL, and just seeing what these players will get. So of course, Porter Martone's getting into a draft plus 1 year. So it's going to be a little bit more interesting to see. But Cam Robinson, when asked specifically by Chris Peters about like a point total, he had this. So we'll start with Chris Peters. So a broad example of or description of what Porter Martone is. So this is Chris. He is a very fascinating player. Him in college hockey should be fascinating as well. The guy that I kind of looked at, and now Porter's bigger than this player, but positionally similar in terms of overall offensive attributes. Ryan Leonard, in his draft plus 1 season as a freshman at Boston College, had 60 points. So Porter Martone, can he hit 60 with the Michigan State Spartans this year, over or under? So it's a big jump. So 60 points is big. So Ryan Leonard, as we'll talk about later, Ryan Leonard was on that team with Will Smith, Gabe Perreault, our infamous Cutter Gauthier. It was a very good BC team. So could Michigan State be something like that? Maybe. But so Cam had this to say. They're going to be a wagon. That team's going to put up some points this year, and Porter's going to be playing a big role in that too. He's getting frontline minutes, first power play minutes. You know what? Give me the over. Give me the over on Porter Martone. And that's a swing because goddamn, getting 60 points as a first year in the NCAA is no easy feat. But I like this kid. He knows how to score. He knows how to set it up. He's got the body to step up into that league. I'm going just a hair over. So that's what he's saying. He's saying a hair over 60 points, but that's 60 points nonetheless. Now, Peters went back and forth, and I'm just talking about what they talked about on a podcast. I'm doing a video on a podcast. I'm sorry, everyone. But Peters said, okay, like he was technically going under, but maybe still tipped him for like 55 points instead. So still going to be very, very good. So, but how successful is that? Of course, like if you don't pay attention to college hockey, 60 points is like, okay, that's a pretty good NHL player. But like in the NCAA with fewer games and everything, like how good is that? How historically, how is that? So since 2005, there have been only 2 players to score over 60 points. That's Kyle Connor in 2015-16 on University of Michigan, rather, the Wolverines. He was on a team with like JT Compher, Tyler Mott, little guy known as Zach Werenski. So it was a pretty good team, but he obviously led the team, and he had 71 points. He leads. Well, we'll see. He's tied for the lead in raw point totals since 2005 from a draft plus 1 player. So there's a player in their post-draft year, not their draft year, not draft plus 2 years after they're drafted, draft plus 1, which is what Porter Martone's going into. The only other player to get over 60 points is the San Jose Sharks forward Will Smith. Very, very talented player. But again, like we just mentioned, Will Smith, again, he got 71 points as well, split up into 25. What was it? 25 and 71 points total, whatever that math is. And Connor scored 35, by the way. So you could see just generally how like points just accumulate on very good teams. So they just like bubble up, and it's typical like that. But especially in college hockey, if you get a couple real good, like best in the country players together, like in that BC team with Leonard, Perreault, Smith, Gauthier, everything like that, it's easy to see where they're going with this and predicting Porter Martone to get into the 60s. So with only 2 players to ever do it since the lockout, even if you go before. So before, in my mind, before the NHL lockout, before the 2004-2005 lockout, the hockey was played a little bit differently. It was played a little more clutch and grab, 90s style, early 2000s, etc. If you go before that, there's only a couple more players that get to that total. So it's people like you get Michael Camilleri with 61 points. You get Zach Parise scoring 61, and you get Thomas Vanek scoring 62. Those are the only players. So 5 players since the year 2000, since this millennia, have reached above 60 points, and that's what Cam Robinson is predicting for Porter Martone, which is crazy. Because then if you look at those 5 players, so Will Smith, Kyle Connor, Michael Camilleri, Thomas Vanek, and Zach Parise, those are very good players. If not, like, I don't think there's a Hall of Famer among them, but there's very, very, very good players that are top line players, and that's what he's talking about with Porter Martone, which is very exciting. There's 4 other players that have also hit exactly 60 points since 2005. So it's Ryan Leonard and Gabe Perreault on that 2023-24 Boston College team where Will Smith and Kyle Gauthier was there too. They scored exactly 60 points. Then we're talking about Logan Cooley, University of Michigan, or University of Minnesota, rather. People get pissed at that. And then we're talking about also Brock Besser, University of North Dakota. He hit 60 points as well in his draft plus 1 season. So then you get in the modern era, if we want to say that, you get Logan Cooley, Brock Besser, Gabe Perreault, Ryan Leonard, and Will Smith. So these 5 players. Oh, and okay, sorry, Will Smith's above, but then those, whatever, add those to 60 points, and then Will Smith and Kyle Connor. You're talking about players that are all-stars or potential all-stars, or in Gabe Perreault's sense of like, yeah, Gabe Perreault and Ryan Leonard, they're like solid best prospects in a prospect pool kind of player. Still a lot to be seen with them, but they're potentially going to be very, very good for the Rangers and Caps. So we'll see how that goes. But right now, you're just talking about like Brock Besser, all-star, potentially 40 goal scorer, Brock Besser. You're talking about Kyle Connor, all-star, Will Smith, potential all-star, everything like that. And then Logan Cooley, all-star, like leads a team. So it's just like you're talking about this level of player in their draft plus 1 year to hit this marker. And Cam Robinson, I trust him, and I know his judgment and everything like that. And I know it was a game on his podcast, and you just had to pick one, and you didn't want to throw cold water on the hype and everything like that. But in the end, it's a exciting to have someone believe in a Flyers prospect so heavily that they're saying he's going to have one of the best college hockey seasons of a player his age in decades. We're talking decades of the game evolving and everything like that. And again, it's a lot of its plays with like Michigan State going to be a very, very good team, but in the end, it's exciting to have someone so confident and knowledgeable about the game really just believe in Porter Martone like that. If you like this video, like and subscribe at broadstreethockey.com, but like and subscribe this video as well. It really helps out with everything that we have going on here. We're going to be with you throughout the season. And if you're literally watching this right now and you haven't hit the like button, it's free. You might as well do it if you watch the entire video. So just do it and then hit. And if you're not subscribed, I don't know why you wouldn't be, because we're just putting out videos like this. And you could read an article that we wrote about this subject on broadstreethockey.com. It's in the description down below, but thanks for watching, and BSH forever.